So if we're going to solve these using the calculator, we have to have both of the equations in y equals form in order to enter them into the calculator. So this top equation is ready to go. I'll go ahead and enter it into my calculator. Y equals 1 divided by 3x plus 2. So that one's ready to go, and I just need to solve the other one for y so I can enter it. So my equation right here, to get this y by itself, the first thing that has to happen is the 2x needs to move over here to the other side. When it moves, it's going to turn negative. And I'm going to write it on this paper because there's not very much room here. But I have my 3y, my 2x moves over and it turns negative, and it joins this minus 3. And again, I'm trying to get the y by itself, and it's being multiplied by 3. So I'll go ahead and divide each part by 3 so that these will cancel. So I have a negative 2 over 3x. 2/3 doesn't reduce. If it did, I would have reduced it, but I'm going to leave it since it doesn't. The 3 over 3 does reduce to 1. So my second equation is here, and I'll go ahead and enter it into the calculator in the spot for the second equation. So my second equation is negative 2/3 x minus 1. And if you look at the graph, what we're trying to find is the point where these two lines cross, and you can see it happening right here on the graph. So to calculate the exact point of intersection, you should press second, trace, and option number 5, intersect. And it'll start asking you a series of questions. When it says first curve, hit enter. Second curve, hit enter. Guess, hit enter. And your answer is when it says intersection. So this is telling me my intersection is at the point negative 3, comma 1. So my solution is negative 3, 1. And again, you should always do a quick check. You can do it in your head, but if y is 1 and x is negative 3, 1/3 times negative 3 just makes negative 1. Is negative 1 plus 2 1? Yes. 2 times negative 3 is negative 6, plus 3 times 1 is negative 6 plus 3 equal to negative 3. Yes. Therefore, my answer is correct. Number 7 is it's easier because they're both already solved for y. They're ready to enter into the calculator. Some of you may have forgotten how to enter these absolute value bars, though. So I'm going to go ahead and clear out what I have in my calculator for the equations. And I'm going to enter this first one. And it starts with absolute value bars. So to get the absolute value bars, second, 0. And where it says ABS right here, this means absolute value bars. So the calculator is asking absolute value of what? And what goes in my absolute value bars are the x and the plus 3, and they end after the 3. So you have to go ahead and use the closed parenthesis above the 9 on your calculator to let your calculator know that this minus 4 does not belong inside the absolute value. It's on the outside. Be sure you hit the minus sign on the calculator, not the negative. There is a difference, and this is a minus 4, not times negative 4. There's my first equation. My second equation, y equals 1/2 x plus 2. So 1 divided by 2x plus 2. And we can look at the graph and see that these lines are crossing in 2 places. So this one will have a solution here and another solution here. So when I find the solution, second, trace, 5, first curve, enter, second curve, enter, guess, enter. My first solution is 6, 5. And can you see how the cursor is here? It's kind of hard to see, but it's blinking slightly. So 6, 5 is this solution. I need to find this one. Let me write down the 6, 5. And then we need to find the second one. So when we find the second one, we're going to do the same thing. second, trace, 5. Do not start hitting enter yet. If you do, it's just going to give you this one where the cursor already is sitting. I need to move the cursor over to this side so my calculator knows that I want to find the solution over here. I don't have to get exactly on it, I just have to be closer to this solution than I was to the other solution. So there it is. Now enter, enter, enter. And this time it says your intersection is at -6, -1. And again, a quick check of both of these. If x is 6, the absolute value of 6 plus 3, which is 9, is 9. 9 minus 4 makes y, which is 5. This point here, this says 5 is equal to half of 6, which is 3, plus 2. Is 3 plus 2 5? Yes. And here, this time it says -1 is equal to -6 plus 3 is -3. The absolute value of -3 is +3. 3 minus 4 does make -1. And here, -1 is half of -6, so -3 plus 2, which makes -1. Number 8, the top equation is already solved for y. The bottom one is not, but it's pretty easy to solve. All we have to do is bump this x over here to the other side. Now it will get a sign change, so this equation turns into -x plus 1. So I'm entering these two equations into the calculator, this one and this one. Clearing out what I have in my calculator. First one, x squared. If you don't know how to put this squared part, you can hit the squared sign right here, or you could hit the caret key with a 2 to get the squared. -3, this is a minus. Minus, it is not a negative. There's my first equation. Second equation, -x plus 1. Look at that graph.
Joel Blanco, come to the office. Joel Blanco, come to the office.
Joel Blanco needs to go to the office. This one also has two solutions, one here and one here, so we'll do it just like we did number 7. Second, trace, 5, enter, enter, enter. And it looks like we're finding this solution first. Now, it makes you feel like you've made a mistake when you get answers like this that are not whole numbers, but that's actually going to happen quite often. So that's why we've been told to round our answers to the nearest hundredth, which means 2 places past the decimal point. So my x value, 1.561, this being a 1 means that 6 stays 6. It doesn't round up.
This is Mrs. Baldwin. I just wanted to remind Mrs. Burnett's English classes and Miss Edgel's English classes that you guys have coffee shop tomorrow. So make sure you bring your dollar.
The y value is -0.561, so it rounds to just -0.56. Okay, so that's my first solution right here. I need to find my second one over here. So again, second, trace, 5. But remember, you have to pull that cursor closer to the second point. It's going to let you try it on your calculator.